My brother stole my girlfriend because he was the golden child. Then he froze when I introduced my new girlfriend, the judge presiding over his DUI case. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like and subscribe button so you won't miss more interesting stories. My name is Joseph, and I have spent my entire life living in the shadow of a person who doesn't even cast a shadow. He cast a spotlight. That person is my older brother, Ryan. In my family, Ryan could do no wrong. He was the firstborn, the athlete, the charmer, the golden child. I was just Brandon, the spare, the backup plan, the one who got good grades and followed the rules, which my parents found incredibly boring. If Ryan broke a vase, it was an accident because he was full of energy. If I broke a vase, I was clumsy and careless. If Ryan failed a test, it was because the teacher was unfair. If I got an A-, I wasn't applying myself enough. This dynamic didn't stop when we became adults. It got worse. Ryan never held down a real job. He bounced from business idea to business idea, funded entirely by my parents. He was 30 years old and still asking Mom for gas money. Meanwhile, I worked my way through college, got a degree in structural engineering, and started my own consulting firm. I bought my own house. Ryan lived in the pool house at my parents' estate. I pay my own bills. Ryan's credit card bill was paid by Dad. But the ultimate betrayal happened 2 years ago. I had been dating a girl named Ashley for 3 years. I thought she was the one. She was sweet, kind, and she seemed to understand me. I was planning to propose. I had even bought a ring. I made the mistake of bringing her to the family Christmas party. Ryan was in rare form that night. He was wearing a suit my dad bought him, drinking expensive scotch my dad paid for, and telling stories that were 50% true and 50% hallucination. He focused all his attention on Ashley. "You're too pretty to be with a nerd like Brandon," Ryan said, leaning in close to her. "You need a guy who knows how to live. Has Brandon ever taken you skydiving? Has he ever taken you to Paris?" "No," Ashley giggled, blushing. "We mostly just watch movies and go hiking." "Boring!" Ryan shouted, raising his glass. "Ashley, stick with me. I'll show you the world." I tried to intervene. "Ryan, knock it off. She's my girlfriend." "Relax, little brother," Ryan smirked. "I'm just being friendly." "You're so insecure." My parents chimed in. "Oh, Brandon, stop being so sensitive. Ryan is just the life of the party. Let him have his fun." 2 weeks later, Ashley broke up with me via text message. "I'm sorry, Brandon. I realized we just want different things. I need excitement. I need passion." 3 days after that, I saw a photo on Facebook. It was Ashley and Ryan. They were on a jet ski in Cabo. The caption read, "Finally living my best life with my soulmate." My parents paid for the trip. When I confronted my mom, she sighed. "Brandon, you have to understand. Ryan and Ashley just have a spark. You and Ashley were, well, you were a bit stale. We just want everyone to be happy. Don't be selfish." Selfish. That was the word that broke me. I was selfish for being upset that my brother stole the woman I was going to marry. With my parents' financial backing, I cut them off. I went low contact. I stopped going to Sunday dinners. I focused entirely on my work. For 2 years, I built my business. I worked 80-hour weeks. I made more money than I knew what to do with. And I started dating again. But this time, I didn't date girls who were looking for a bad boy or a free ride. I dated women who had their own lives, their own careers, and their own brains. That's how I met Margaret. I met Margaret at a charity gala for legal aid. She was standing by the bar, drinking sparkling water, looking bored out of her mind. She was older than me by 4 years. She was striking, not in a bubbly, cheerleader way like Ashley, but in a sharp, elegant way. She had dark hair, piercing eyes, and an aura of authority that made people step out of her way. We started talking. We talked for 3 hours. I learned she was smart, incredibly smart. She was tough. She didn't put up with nonsense. We started dating quietly. I didn't tell her much about my family other than that we weren't close. She didn't talk much about her work other than that it was stressful. 6 months into our relationship, I found out exactly how stressful her job was. Margaret wasn't just a lawyer. She was a judge. The Honorable Judge Margaret Sterling. She presided over the county's criminal court. She had a reputation. They called her the Gavel. She was known for being harsh on entitled people who thought they were above the law. I loved her even more. Meanwhile, I heard through the grapevine, my cousin, that Ryan's life was spiraling. Ashley had dumped him after 6 months when she realized living his best life meant living off his parents. Ryan had gone off the deep end. He was partying harder, drinking more, and getting reckless. Then the big news hit. Ryan got arrested. It was bad. He was driving Dad's new Porsche at 3 a.m. He was drunk. He was high. He ran a red light and smashed into a parked delivery van. Thank God the van was empty. So he didn't kill anyone, but he destroyed the car. the van, and a storefront. He was charged with a felony DUI, reckless endangerment, and possession of a controlled substance. My phone started ringing off the hook. It was my mom. "Brandon, pick up. It's an emergency." I finally answered. "What do you want?" I asked. "Your brother is in jail," she sobbed. "You have to help us. Dad is trying to find a lawyer, but the bail is set so high. We need money. We need character witnesses. You have to come home. I don't have to do anything." I said, "Ryan is an adult. He made his choice. How can you be so cruel?" She screamed. "He's your brother. He made a mistake. He's just a boy. He's 32, I said. "We are having a family meeting dinner this Sunday." My dad got on the phone. His voice was stern. "You will be there. We need to present a united front for the court. We need to show that Ryan comes from a good, supportive family. If you don't come, you are dead to us." I was about to hang up and tell them to rot, but then Dad said something else and bring that new girlfriend of yours I heard about. We need to show that the family is stable and expanding. It looks good for the image. I paused. They wanted me to bring Margaret. They didn't know who she was. They just knew I was seeing someone. A dark, twisted idea formed in my mind. I knew Ryan's case was in the county court. I knew the docket. "Okay," I said. "I'll come and I'll bring Margaret." "Good." Dad grunted. "Don't be late and tell her to dress nicely. We have a reputation to uphold." I hung up. I looked at Margaret, who was sitting on my couch reading a book. "Hey," I said. "Do you want to go to a very interesting dinner on Sunday?" She looked up to find interesting my family. I said the golden child got a DUI. They want to plan his defense strategy over roast beef. Margaret raised an eyebrow. "And why would I want to go to that?" "Because," I said, smiling, "I think you might find the defendant very interesting." I didn't tell her everything. I didn't tell her that Ryan was her defendant. I knew she was on the criminal rotation, but I didn't know if she had seen the file yet. The arraignment was on Monday. The dinner was Sunday. If she realized who he was at dinner, she would have to recuse herself. I knew that, but I also knew that before she recused herself, she would see exactly who my brother was, and she would ensure that whoever took the case next knew exactly what kind of monster he was. Or maybe, just maybe, I just wanted to see Ryan sweat. Sunday arrived. I put on my best suit. Margaret wore a stunning black dress. She looked intimidating. We drove to my parents' house. The Porsche was gone, obviously, since it was wrapped around a telephone pole in the police impound lot. We walked in. The atmosphere was tense. My mom was pacing, holding a glass of wine. My dad was on the phone with a lawyer, yelling about retainers. Ryan was sitting on the couch. He looked terrible. He had a black eye from the airbag. His arm was in a sling, but his attitude hadn't changed. He looked up when we walked in. "Well, look who it is," Ryan sneered. "The prodigal son returns. Did you bring your checkbook, Brandon? Because I need bail money reimbursement." He didn't even look at Margaret. He was too busy feeling sorry for himself. "Hello, Ryan." I said, "Hello, Mom, Dad." Mom ran over. "Brandon, thank God. Did you bring cash?" Then she looked at Margaret. "Oh," Mom said, looking her up and down. "You must be the friend." "I'm Margaret," she said, extending a hand. Her voice was cool and steady. "Nice to meet you," Mom said dismissively. "Come sit. We have to discuss the strategy for court tomorrow." We went to the dining room. Ryan sat at the head of the table because of course he did. He was drinking a beer. "Ryan," I said, "should you be drinking? You have a court hearing for a DUI tomorrow." "Shut up." "Brandon," Ryan laughed. "Dad's lawyer's going to fix it. He knows the judge. He says the judge is probably some old senile guy we can pay off or charm." Margaret stiffened next to me. "Is that so?" Margaret asked. Her voice was low. Ryan looked at her for the first time. "Yes, sweetie. That's how the world works. Money talks. I'll walk in there, say I'm sorry, cry a little bit, and I'll get community service. I always win." "You seem very confident," Margaret said. She took a sip of water. She was staring at Ryan like a hawk staring at a mouse. "I'm the golden child," Ryan smirked. "That's what Mom calls me. Nothing sticks to me. Besides, the system is a joke. I was drunk, sure, but the van shouldn't have been parked there. It was asking to be hit." My dad slammed his hand on the table. "Exactly, that's the angle. We sue the delivery company for improper parking. We turn the victim into the villain." "Brilliant," Ryan said. I looked at Margaret. She was clenching her jaw. I could see the veins in her neck. So Ryan turned to Margaret, trying to turn on the charm. "What do you do, babe? You look a little old for Brandon. He usually likes the quiet library types. You look like you have a little fire." "I work for the county," Margaret said. "The county?" Ryan laughed. "Like at the DMV? Can you fix my license? They suspended it." "No," Margaret said. "I work at the courthouse." Ryan froze. His fork stopped halfway to his mouth. "The courthouse?" Ryan asked. "Like a clerk?" "No," Margaret said. "A prosecutor?" Dad asked, looking worried. "No," Margaret said. She dabbed her mouth with a napkin. Then what? Ryan asked. He was starting to look nervous. Margaret turned her head slowly and looked Ryan dead in the eye. I am a judge, she said. The room went silent. Ryan laughed nervously. A judge? No way. You're too, you know. To what? Margaret asked. Too female, too young, or too present at the scene of your confession. Wait, Dad said. Which court? Criminal division? Margaret said. Courtroom 4B. Ryan dropped his fork. It clattered loudly onto the china plate. His face drained of all color. He looked like a ghost for B, Ryan whispered. That's where my arraignment is tomorrow. I know, Margaret said. I saw your file on my desk. Friday afternoon. Ryan Miller felony DUI back of 22. Property damage exceeding. 50,000 resisting arrest. Ryan started to shake. You hear the judge? I am the Honorable Margaret Sterling, she said. But you can call me Your Honor if you see me tomorrow. Oh my God, Mom gasped. This is perfect. Brandon, you're dating the judge. She can let him off. Mom looked at Margaret with desperate hope. Margaret, honey, surely you can see this is all a misunderstanding. Ryan is a good boy. Since you're dating his brother, you can just dismiss the case, right? For family. Margaret stood up. She looked 10F tall. Mrs. Miller, Margaret said, her voice icy. Did you just ask a sitting judge to obstruct justice and dismiss a felony charge as a personal favor? Mom stammered. Well, I mean, that is a crime, Margaret said. And what your son just did, admitting his guilt, admitting his lack of remorse, and admitting his plan to manipulate the court, is very enlightening. Ryan was hyperventilating. Please, I didn't mean it. I was joking. You said the system is a joke, Margaret said. You said you always win. You said you would cry a little bit to fool the court. She looked down at him with pure disgust. Obviously, Margaret said, I cannot preside over your case now. It would be a conflict of interest since I have met you socially and witnessed your character. I will have to recuse myself tomorrow morning. Ryan let out a breath of relief. Oh, thank God. Okay, good. Recuse yourself. However, Margaret continued, a small, dangerous smile playing on her lips. When a judge recuses themselves this close to a hearing, they often have to reassign the case immediately to whoever is available. And I happen to know exactly who is available in courtroom 4C next door. Ryan swallowed hard. Who? Judge Harrison. Margaret said. My dad put his head in his hands. Even he knew who Judge Harrison was. They called him the hangman. He was an ex-Marine who hated drunk drivers more than anything on earth. He gave maximum sentences for sport. No, Ryan whispered. Not Harrison. I'll make the transfer first thing in the morning, Margaret said, and I will be submitting a sworn affidavit regarding the attempt by your family to bribe and influence a judicial officer at this dinner, which will go into your file. You can't do that, Ryan screamed. I'm obligated to do that, Margaret said. Come on, Brandon. I've lost my appetite. The stench of entitlement in here is overpowering. I stood up. I felt like I was floating. By Ryan, I said, good luck with Judge Harrison. I hear he likes it when defendants cry. It makes him sentence them harder. Brandon, Mom screamed. Do something. Stop her. I can't. I smiled. She's the law and I'm just the boring brother, remember? We walked out. As we got to the car, I started laughing. I laughed until my sides hurt. Margaret got in the driver's seat. She looked at me and smiled. You knew? She said. I suspected, I admitted. I knew his arraignment was in 4B. I knew that was your courtroom. I didn't tell you, because I wanted you to see him before you saw the file. You used me as a weapon, she said. I introduced you to my family, I corrected. Was I wrong about them? No, she said. They are awful. And your brother is a menace to society. So, are you really sending him to Harrison? I asked. Oh, absolutely, she said. Harrison owes me a favor, and he hates rich kids who wreck Porsches. The next morning I took the day off work. I sat in the back of courtroom 4B. Ryan walked in with his expensive lawyer. He looked around frantically. Margaret walked out in her robes. Everyone stood. She looked at Ryan. Ryan looked like he was going to vomit. Case 29484, the state versus Ryan Miller, she read. She looked at the lawyer. Counsel, she said, due to a personal interaction with the defendant's family last night, where attempts were made to influence the court, I am recusing myself from this matter effective immediately. The lawyer looked confused. Your Honor, furthermore, she said, her voice booming, I have transferred this matter to Judge Harrison in courtroom 4C. He is ready for you now. Bail is revoked, pinning the transfer. Bailiff, take the defendant into custody. What? Ryan screamed. No, I made bail. You are a flight risk and a danger to the community, Margaret said. Take him away. Ryan was handcuffed and dragged out the side door, screaming my name. He faced Judge Harrison an hour later. Harrison didn't think the victim was the villain. Harrison didn't care about my dad's money. Ryan was denied bail. He spent 6 months in jail, awaiting trial because his lawyer kept trying to delay, and Harrison refused to let him out. When the trial finally happened, Ryan pleaded guilty to avoid the maximum sentence. He got 3 years in state prison. My parents are broken. They spent a fortune on lawyers, but the affidavit Margaret filed regarding their bribery attempt scared off any decent attorney. They are now facing a potential investigation for attempted obstruction of justice. Ashley, my ex-girlfriend, she showed up at my house a month ago. She heard I was dating a judge. She heard my business was booming. "Joseph," she said, standing on my porch in the rain, "I made a mistake. He manipulated me. I miss you." I looked at her. I looked at the ring on her finger she bought for herself. "Ashley," I said, "you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. And just like Ryan, you have to live with the sentence." I closed the door. Margaret and I are still together. We don't go to family dinners anymore. We prefer quiet nights in. Sometimes we talk about the law. Sometimes we talk about the future. But we never ever talk about Ryan. He's just a number in the system now. And for the first time in my life, I am the one holding the